Everybody likes cheap things, from the low income earners to the middle class down to the rich. We all like cheap things, and if you have ever desired to buy cheap land in a city like Port Harcourt, then this video is a must watch for you. In this video today, I will be revealing to you the truth about cheap lands in Port Harcourt, and believe me, there is more than meets the eye. Of course, we all know that there are a lot of unbelievable low prices that are too good to be true that is littered all over the market. What are the challenges and the opportunities that lie beneath the surface? In case you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Kristas. I'm a real estate consultant based in the city of Port Harcourt, Nigeria, and my job is to assist you with making the best and the right real estate investment. On this YouTube channel, I educate, inform, and enlighten my audience on what they need to know before and after investing in real estate, from land banking to land documentation to rental properties to every other thing that you need to know about real estate. I bring them and I talk about them on this channel. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back to our channel. We celebrate you and we're happy that you always come back to watch our videos. And if you are new to this channel, please do well to subscribe to our channel. Click on the bell notification so you'll be notified when we post new videos, and also do well to give this video a thumbs up. Generally, we all know cheap lands to be lands that are selling below the market price. For example, if you see a plot of land selling in a place like Port Harcourt for 10 million naira, of course we know that that land will be regarded as a cheap land. Why? Because a plot of land in Port Harcourt is selling within the range of 40 to 50 million naira. If you see a plot of land in a place like Ada George selling for 5 million naira, that kind of land can be called a cheap land. Why? Because we know that a plot of land in Ada George goes within the range of 20 million naira. But in the context of this video, what do I mean by cheap land? In this context, cheap land simply means lands in Port Harcourt that is selling from 3 million naira and below. Land that is selling 2 point something, 1 point something, or below 1 million naira is regarded as cheap land in this context. The next thing is, where can we find these cheap lands in Port Harcourt? If you want to see lands that are cheap in Port Harcourt that is below 3 million naira in this context, then you'll be looking at places that are outside Port Harcourt and Obiabo local government, because Port Harcourt and Obiabo local government are the two urban cities we have in Port Harcourt, and a plot of land is on the high side in these two urban cities. But in places that are outside Port Harcourt and Obiabo local government, you can see land that is below 3 million naira. It doesn't mean that you cannot see land that is above 3 million naira outside Port Harcourt and Obiabo local government. In Igwita, if you go to some places in Igwita, you can see land for as high as 6 million naira in Igwita. If you go to some places in Omowa, you go to Eleme, go to Alessa, go to Abajo, you can see land that is 10 million naira. So it doesn't mean that you cannot see land above 3 million naira outside Port Harcourt and Obiabo local government. That is not what I mean. But what I mean is that if you want to see land that is below 3 million naira, then you can easily find them outside Port Harcourt and Obiabo local government. Before you buy cheap land, there are two important searches that you need to make. The first is a survey search and the second is a title search. A survey search means picking up coordinates from the ground where you want to buy the property. Coordinates are unique codes that identify every point in the earth's surface. Picking up coordinates and searching the coordinate in the office of the Surveyor General to know if the land you want to buy, if it is free or if it is under acquisition. Like I've said earlier in my previous videos, that all lands belongs to the government. But then what the government does is that they are going to take some part from the whole and give the remaining part to the native indigenes of a particular community, and that is what we call accession. The word accession simply means taking a part from a whole. Since all land belongs to the government, what the government does is that they take some parts from the whole and they will give the remaining to the native. So what the government does is that they will take a part with which they are going to construct infrastructures, to build hospital, to build road, to build stadiums, all these public infrastructures. That is what they will do with the part which they have taken, and they will give the rest to the native indigenes, and that is what we call excision. Some of these cheap lands that you are seeing that they are selling cheap, some of them have not been excised. That is why if you go to a place like Lagos, you will see people, they will tell you that excision is in progress. Some are awaiting excision. Although I do not advise anybody to buy any land that is awaiting excision or excision in progress. Why? Because what is the likelihood that that land is going to be excised? Now, what happens if you have already bought a land that have not been excised by the government from a real estate company? What happened if after all the whole excision process, the land was not excised by the government? What happened? That is why it is important. It is very good you buy from a reputable real estate company, because if you buy from a reputable real estate company, if they have a land and the land was not excised by the government, the next thing they can do is to apply for what we call ratification. What ratification simply means is that, okay, we know that this land, this particular land is a government land. We know that this land is under government acquisition, but then we are applying to the government to release some part of the land for us. Now, there are two types of government acquisition. There is what we call committed acquisition and there is what we call global acquisition. Committed acquisition is a no-go area. If maybe the land that the real estate company is applying for is under committed acquisition, then there is a no-go area, because the government have something that they have designated that place to be used for. But if it is a global acquisition, then the government, as at the moment, they really don't have anything that they want to do. Now, those land that are under global acquisition can be ratified. For a land to be ratified, the real estate company have to pay to the government, because this time it is like they are now buying the property from the government. And if after the process of trying to ratify the property, the government did not release that property, then whoever buys that property still have an option of holding the company that sold that property to him or her responsible. And that will be easier if in the document there is what we call an indemnity clause. An indemnity clause simply means that if anything goes wrong with this transaction, the company is going to refund you your money, or they are going to give you another land. So if there's an indemnity clause on your document, it makes it very easy to hold the company accountable, because they have signed in their document and that indemnity clause is in the document, and they have said that if anything goes wrong with this transaction, that we are going to refund you or either give you back another land. Moving next, you may want to ask whether it is good to buy cheap land. Of course, it is very good to buy cheap land as long as the land is not under government acquisition. It is very good to buy cheap land, but please don't go and buy cheap land in a place where the government is not going, or in a place where the government have abandoned, unless maybe you want to buy it for the purpose of farming. If maybe that is your purpose, then you can go and buy in a place where the government doesn't even have any interest, because as we say most times, that there is no bush that is too bushy to invest, but then there are some bush that are meant for your grandchildren. So if maybe you want to buy for your grandchildren, okay, you can go to your village and buy, because it is cheap land in your village. You can go to your village and buy. But if you're looking for a place that will develop, then you should go to places where the government is going. If there is no sign of any government presence or any government infrastructure in a particular place within the next 5 to 10 years, there is no point buying property in that location. Now let's look at the advantage and disadvantage of buying cheap land. I'll start with the disadvantage, and the first disadvantage of buying cheap land is that you cannot live there. Of course, you can build there. If you buy a cheap land, you can build there, but the question is, can you live there at the moment? That is the question. So because of insecurity, if you buy a cheap land, you can build there, but can you live there? The obvious answer is no, you cannot live there unless you want to live alone in the bush. The second disadvantage is that you can easily lose your land if you are buying cheap land. That is why it is very important, if you are buying cheap land, it is important that you buy from a real estate company. Because if you buy outside the real estate company, you buy from an individual, you buy from a native, you can come there the next day, you see that another person have built a house on the land that they sold to you. You may come there the next day, you see that somebody have encroached into your land. One person can sell a piece of land to 5 different persons. So as a result of land dispute, you can easily lose your land if you are buying cheap land. Why is it so? Because this cheap land, most times they are in the outstretch, and maybe you can just buy it and leave it there for the next 5 years without even going there. So if you are buying cheap land, it is best you buy from a real estate company where you know that even in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, your land will still be there. The next disadvantage of buying cheap land is the fact that it cannot be easily liquidated. And when I mean liquidate, I mean you cannot sell it easily. Why? Because the demand for properties in those cheap places are not on the high side. And if the demand is not on the high side, then if you want to sell, you cannot sell it easy. But if the demand is on the high side, if you want to sell, you can sell easily. So if you're buying cheap land, it is good you come to the understanding that all these cheap lands, they are long-term investments. And if maybe you want to sell, you may not get a buyer immediately. The next disadvantage is that in a place like Nigeria, real estate development can be hampered by political instability. For example, a governor is on seat and he is working the road, doing a lot of infrastructural development in a particular place, and peradventure he leave office, and the person that is there, the person that took over from him, did not continue with that project or with his plan for a particular place, then that place is going to be affected. Development in that place is going to slow down. So if you're buying land in all these cheap places, a change in government can slow down development in that place. So these are some of the disadvantages of buying cheap land. Please don't be discouraged by this disadvantage that I am calling. Remember, our topic today is the truth about cheap lands in Port Harcourt. So wait till you hear the advantage before you make your decision. The first advantage of buying cheap land, which I think outweighs all the disadvantage, is that it gives you the highest return on investment for your money. You can buy a cheap land for 1 million naira this year, and the next year you can sell that property for 2 million naira. Almost all the land that we sell for 650,000 naira last year, they have done over 100% return on investment. You can have 100% return on investment on your money if you buy cheap land, but it is very, very difficult to see such kind of return on investment on a land that is not cheap. You can buy a land 1 million naira this year, and the next year you sell it 2 million naira. But I have never seen a situation whereby you will buy a land 100 million naira this year, and the next year you sell that same land for 200 million naira. I have never seen such. In case you see, you can let me know. But me personally, I have not seen such. Why? Because land in an underdeveloped place appreciate higher than land in a developed place. There's a popular saying that says that 90% of billionaires become so by investing in real estate. But if you should ask me that what kind of real estate do they do to get that kind of money, I would tell you that the only thing they did was to go and buy cheap lands. Cheap lands that people are calling bush. They went there, they bought cheap lands, they bought it in hectares, in thousands of hectares, and they wait for people to come. There's a popular real estate quote that says, look for where the people are going and buy the land before they get there. When they look for where people are most likely to go, they go to that place, they buy land in thousands of hectares, and they wait for people to come and they start selling. Pastor Matthew Chimolowo told a story of what he did in Mowe in Ogun State, how he bought about 900 hectares of land in Mowe, Ogun State, and later he started selling that land that he bought for peanuts. He still come back to Lagos and he repeated the same thing. 23 years ago, he bought some hectares of land in Lagos, and he came back last year to start developing that place, to start selling that place. That place now, they are selling that place for millions of naira. Now imagine how much did he buy that kind of place 23 years ago. So this is how these billionaires, this is how they make their money, by buying cheap land that people are calling bush, cheap land that people don't want to invest their money, cheap land that people will be asking, when is that place going to develop? That is what they did, and today most of them are billionaires. So if you want to invest in real estate and you're looking for a place that will give you the highest return on investment, that place is the bush. Go and buy it cheap and sell when it is expensive. The question now becomes, if you can wait, if you can wait for the miracle to happen. That is the question. Some of the billionaires, when they bought land in some of these places that are very, very cheap and they are underdeveloped places, nothing much is happening in those areas, and what they did to raise the demand for that place is they apply what we call in real estate, what we call false appreciation. When Dangote, when he first went to Ibejuleki, there's nothing much that is being said about Ibejuleki. Before Dangote Refinery came to Ibejuleki, nothing much is being said about Ibejuleki. But when he went there, he applied this false appreciation by building a refinery in Ibejuleki. And the moment he started building a refinery in Ibejuleki, everybody started rushing to Ibejuleki, and Ibejuleki becomes a hotcake. That is what we call false appreciation in real estate. When nothing much is happening in that place, you can raise the demand of that place if you have what it takes. In Portharcourt, for example, there's a place called Isiopo in Portharcourt. A man called Herbert Wingwe, the MD of Access Bank. In Isiopo, nothing much was happening in Isiopo. As at last year, if you ask myself to go and buy land in Isiopo, last 2 years, I will not go and buy. Why? Because I feel nothing much is happening there. But this man, he went there, he bought hectares of land that he bought, and he started building what they call Wingwe University. And today, as I speak to you, people are rushing to Isiopo to buy land in a place that nobody was doing there before. But as soon as Herbert Wingwe, the MD of Access Bank, start building Wingwe University, everybody starts rushing to Isiopo to buy land. And right now, a plot of land in Isiopo that as at last year was not even selling up to 500,000 naira per plot. A plot of land in Isiopo right now, a lot of people are selling even 1.something million. Why? Because he bought in a cheap place and he raised the demand of that place. So this is the secret of a lot of real estate billionaires. They bought this cheap land when it is selling for just peanuts. They bought it when the owners are saying, just bring anything and collect the land, we don't have anything to do with it, and they sell it when it now turned to gold. So this is the major advantage of buying cheap land, and I'm sure that I have done justice to this topic, revealing all the truth that you need to know about cheap lands in the city of Port Harcourt. I have talked about the disadvantage and have also talked about the advantage of buying this cheap land. If you have gotten value from this video, please let me see your comment in the comment section. Go to the comment section and let's interact in the comment section. If you are yet to subscribe to our channel, please support the growth of our channel by subscribing to our channel. Help us to grow, because we want to grow this channel to at least 1,000 subscribers in no distant time. Also click on the bell notification so you'll be notified when we post new videos, and also do it to give this video a thumbs up. Till I come your way next time, my name is Chris Asika.